Let's meditate and learn about the Eliezer, the faithful servant of Abraham, Eliezer. So the title is Eliezer, who accomplished his mission. His mission here refers to finding the wife of Isaac, his master's son, right? So the meaning of name Eliezer, you can see Hebrew word Eliezer there. I will enlarge it for a while. Eliezer. And it means the one whom God helps. The one whom God helps. As you know, he was the steward who took care of Abraham's possession, right? Who took care of Abraham's possession. And if you look at Genesis chapter 24, verse 2, and Genesis chapter 15, verse 2, you can see that the Eliezer was described as the oldest servant, right? Oldest servant. And in Genesis chapter 15, verse 2, Abraham initially thought Eliezer would become his heir because he had no son, right? So Eliezer, the heir of my house, Eliezer of Damascus, right? So seeing these two places and two facts, that we can see that Eliezer must have been serving Abraham for a long time, right? He was trusted by Abraham, right? He was the oldest servant of Abraham's household, right? And also, he was considered to become the heir of Abraham. So we can see that the Eliezer must have been serving Abraham's household for quite a long time. Then how long? How long do you think? There are two ways of understanding, right? Because Eliezer is known Eliezer of Damascus. So one way to understand is when Abraham left Haran, right, way down to the land of Canaan, he visited Damascus, and he actually visited Damascus because at that time the road, right, the known road, the road that is prepared already was from Haran to the land of Canaan. It has to go through Damascus because it's a city, right? So Abraham actually went through Damascus. So maybe while he was passing through Damascus, he hired a man from Damascus. That was one way to understand when this servant Eliezer was hired or bought or became a servant of Abraham. Another way to understand Eliezer is while Abraham was staying in Haran. While Abraham was staying in Haran. We understand that Abraham left all of Chaldeans, right? All of Chaldeans with how many people? Terah, Abraham, Sarai, and Lot. Are there any more? I don't think there are any more, right? So they left all of Chaldeans and settled down in Haran. And as we know, the Terah did not want to leave Haran because he established his business there and it was going quite well, right? He felt Haran a very comfortable place, right? Successful place for him to be, right? So if you look at the Bible, Genesis chapter 12 verse 5, Genesis 12 verse 5, we can see that when Abraham took Sarai, his wife, and Lot his nephew, and all their possessions which they had accumulated, and the persons which they had acquired in Haran, they set out for the land of Canaan. Thus they came to the land of Canaan. So what happened is, while Abraham was staying in Haran, he gained possessions, right, wealth, as well as the servants as well, right? So Bible says, when Abraham left Haran, he brought out his possession as well as the servants belonged to him as well, right? So another way to see and understand when Eliezer became Abraham's servant is while Abraham was staying at Haran. And perhaps one of the people, one of the servants that came out from Haran with Abraham is Eliezer. So if Eliezer was one of the people who came out from Haran together, then by the time of marriage of Isaac, which is 2026 BC, he had been serving Abraham's household more than 65 years. More than 65 years. Right, another characteristic of Eliezer is he must have been circumcised as well, right? He must have been circumcised as well. As you know, when all the males in Abraham's household were circumcised in Genesis chapter 17, verse 23. Genesis chapter 17, verse 23. I'll read it for you. Then Abraham took Ishmael his son and all the servants who were born in his house and all who were bought with his money, every male among men of Abraham's household, and circumcised the flesh of their foreskin in the very same day as God has said to him. Right? So when this circumcision happened, it did not only apply to the sons of Abraham, but every male belonged to that house, right? Which means male servants, whether they are, all these Gentile, the servants, right, were also circumcised. And we can see that if Eliezer came together out of Haran with Abraham, that means by the time the circumcision was happening, Eliezer was there as well, right? So Eliezer must have been circumcised as well. Right. So this Eliezer, one day, Eliezer was given the duty to find the girl for his master's son Isaac, right? Right. I don't know how much you trust your nanny or your servant in your house, right? But you don't normally give them a task or mission to find a girl for your son, isn't it? Not even today, right? Not even today. We trust people, but we don't give such important mission to our servants, right? To look for, to find the wife to be or the daughter-in-law to be, right? In those days, same, right? In those days, choosing a wife for a son was done by father himself, right? Seeing that such important duty was entrusted to Eliezer, we can understand how greatly he was trusted by Abraham, right? He was greatly trusted by Eliezer. Eliezer never doubted that God will help his master and fulfill his master's prayer and wish. So he departed with the 10 camels of his master and many good gifts. So if you look at Genesis chapter 24 verse 10, Genesis chapter 24 verse 10, it said, the servant took 10 camels from the camels of his master and set out with a variety of good things of his master's in his hand. And he arose and went to Mesopotamia, to the city of Nahor. The true servant is the one who obeys to go with thanksgiving wherever the master leads to or master causes him to go. In the book of Revelation, it talks about 144,000, right? 144,000. And if you look at Revelation chapter 14, verse 4, 144,000 is identified, is defined as the one who follows the Lamb wherever he goes, right? So today, if we want to become servant of God, like Eliezer who accomplished the mission given, right? Then we must obey to go wherever our Master, our God, our Father leads us to go with thanksgiving, right? With thanksgiving. Not because there is no other option, right? But with thanksgiving, with this willing heart and volunteering heart, with thanksgiving heart. Yes, Father, yes, our Lord, yes, Jesus, I will obey and I will go, right? So, big number 1 today is journey from Beel Lahe Roi to the city of Nahor, right? Journey from Beel Lahe Roi to the city of Nahor. So from Beel Lahe Roi, where Abram stayed at the time, to the city of Nahor refers to Patan Aram, right? Patan Aram. Also is known as Haran, right? Haran, Patan Aram, the city of Nahor are all referring to the same place, right? Or same reason at least. So from Beel Lahe Roi to Patan Aram, it distances about 842 kilometers. 842 kilometers. You can picturize the map of the land of Canaan, right? Beel Lahe Roi is almost southern, right? It locates the southern part of the land of Canaan. Haran, where is you have to go up north, right? And go to the river Euphrates, right? And above the river Euphrates is Haran, right? The Patan Aram. So the distance between these two cities is 842 kilometers. 842 kilometers. With his fellow servants and 10 camels, even if they travel at the highest speed, at the high speed, which is about 50 to 60 kilometers a day, right? It's not horse they can run. It's a donkey. It's a camel, right? So even if it's travel at its high speed, which is about 50 to 60 kilometers a day, right? It must be a very lengthy journey, which takes about 17 to 21 days. 17 to 21 days, right? So about 3 weeks that Eliezer have to travel just to reach the location, right, where he could start looking for a lady for his master's son, right? 3 weeks journey. Now, going to America takes about 24 hours, and we say it's very tiring. I say it's very tiring, and it's very, of course, by God's grace, it's pleasant, but physically speaking, it's very tiring journey. But, imagine that you have to travel about 21 days, right? 21 days, just to get to the place, right? 21 days. So if you look at Genesis, the 24 verse 62, you can see that the Abram was at Beel Lahe Roi, right? Beel Lahe Roi. And if you look at Genesis 24 verse 10, right? Genesis 24 verse 10, the servant Eliezer took 10 camels, right? And he went to the city of Nahor, right? And if you look at Genesis 24 verse 32, he wasn't alone, right? He wasn't alone. When he arrived there, what happened is he was given the water to wash his feet, right? Also for the men who were with him, right? If you look at here, the men who were with him, right? The men who were with him. So Eliezer was not alone, travel alone. He brought maybe his younger servants, right, or his fellow servants, right? We don't know how many, but he was not alone for sure. Secondly, prayer for accomplishing his mission or his task. Prayer for accomplishing his mission or task. Eliezer was given a very difficult task, right? Which which made him worried, right? I mean, looking for his own son's wife is difficult, but looking for his master's son's wife is very difficult, isn't it? You have to go to somewhere that, you have to travel a lot, right? And you have to find the right person, right? So this was a very difficult mission, and that made him worried. But he started praying to the God of Abraham, Jehovah, God of his master Abraham, from the moment he arrived to the city of Nahor. He started praying, right? He started praying. So if you look at Genesis chapter 24, verse 12, and he said, O Lord, the God of my master Abraham, please grant me success today and show loving kindness to my master Abraham. So first, he prayed to show mercy to his master, right? He prayed to show mercy to his master. As we just read, O Lord, the God of my master Abraham, please grant me success today and show loving kindness to my master Abraham. Hebrew word for loving kindness is hesed. 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 Hesed means mercy or kindness. Mercy or kindness. And in Korean, because it also has a meaning of favor, right? Favor. So in Korean, it is translated as grace as well. Grace. You know, the Noah found favor in the eyes of God. That favor is grace, right? So in the similar way, the Hebrew word doesn't have a meaning of grace, right? It's actually mercy and kindness and favor. But because there is a favor, right? In Korean translation, it is translated to grace. Grace of God or mercy of God, right? Mercy of God. So what it means is he didn't pray according to his thoughts, right? Eliezer finally arrived to the Patan Aram, right? And doing his master's mission, he didn't move, he didn't pray according to his thoughts. He entirely depended on God's mercy, God's plan, right? Father, I came and I cannot do anything without your wisdom, without your guidance, right? So lead me, guide me, show me your way. That was Eliezer's prayer. He didn't ask, God of Abraham, I need a girl about 170 meter high, taller than 7 centimeter, right? He didn't pray that I need a very glamorous girl for my master's son, right? He didn't pray according to his thoughts or according to his plan, but he yielded everything to God of his master Abraham. That was the reason of his success. He yielded everything to God's will. He prayed that, God of my master Abraham, I know that you have been merciful to Abraham for the time that I know, right? So I know that you will show your mercy to my master Abraham once again today, and show me the girl that you already decided for my master son, right? That's how he prayed. Eliezer did not pray according to his thoughts or according to his plan, but he yielded everything to God's will. Let it be found, right? Let me be moved by your plan, according to your plan. Secondly, he prayed to show him a sign for Isaac's wife. He prayed to show him a sign for Isaac's wife. It actually intrigues me a bit that, I'll skip that. Anyway, he prayed to show him a sign for Isaac's wife. If we read Genesis chapter 24, verse 13 to 14, Right. What he requested, or the sign that he requested, that it was that when he asked a lady to give him a water, right? Give him a water. The lady, the woman, should offer to water his camels as well. His camels as well. That was the sign. That was the secret agreement between God and this Eliezer, right? Eliezer said, if you do this, if anyone is doing this, then I will believe that that is the girl that you appointed for Isaac, right? So, ask for water, and she allows not only him to drink, but also his camels to drink, right? So, being number 3 is Virgin Rebecca, who acted exactly as Eliezer prayed, right? Rebecca, who acted exactly as Eliezer prayed. So firstly, she came to the well even before Eliezer's prayer was finished. She came to the well even before Eliezer's prayer was finished. So if you look at Genesis chapter 24, verse 15, Genesis 24, verse 15, it says, now it came about before he had finished speaking that, behold, Rebekah, who was born to Bethuel, the son of Milcah, the wife of Abraham's brother Nahor, came out with her jar on her shoulder. Right? Do you remember any place when a person, even before he finished prayer, that God already answered? There is one case in the book of Daniel, right? One case in the book of Daniel, right? So we will come to that point, I think, during the study of the book of Daniel, right? But is Eliezer even haven't finished his prayer yet, but Rebecca already appeared, right? It means God knew the situation. God knew what's going on, and God prepared her for Eliezer, right? God prepared her for Eliezer. We may be slow to pray, we may neglect to pray, but God's desire is to answer our prayer as quickly as possible. Amen? So if you look at Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3, Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3, for the visions is yet for the appointed time. It hastens toward the goal, and it will not fail. Though it tarries, wait for it, for it will certainly come, it will not delay, right? So God's desire always is to answer our prayer as quickly as possible. Sometimes it delays, it tarries, right? But God says, the Bible says, do not worry, right? It will not delay. It will come surely. So I believe, and I want you to believe, I urge you to believe that all of your prayer will be answered, and it will not be delayed. Amen? Amen. So secondly, when she was asked, quickly fill the jar and allow him to drink, right? That was what Eliezer requested, right, as a sign, right? When she was asked, quickly fill the jar and allow him to drink. Genesis 24, verse 16 to 17. And the girl was very beautiful, a virgin, and no man had had a relationship with her. And she went down to the spring and filled a jar and came up. Then the servant ran to meet her and said, please let me drink a little water from your jar. Right, here, Hebrew word to meet. Hebrew word for to meet is kiruah, right? Kiruah. So it's like kiruah. One thing very interesting here. Right. If you look at the Hebrew dictionary of the word kiruah, it actually explains to meet someone accidentally, or to meet someone by chance. To meet someone by chance, or to meet someone accidentally. However, let's read this scripture once again. Genesis chapter 24, verse 16 and 17. And the girl was very beautiful, a virgin. No man had had a relationship with her. She went down to the spring and filled her jar and came up. Right? Then the servant ran to meet her. Which means what? Eliezer saw Rebecca. Right? That's why he ran down to meet her. Right? If you know that I'm in the church, if you come to church, we cannot say, oh, I happen to see Pastor David in the church, isn't it? You already knew that I'm here. So that means you purposely came to church to see me. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? What I'm saying is, Hebrew dictionary is wrong. Hebrew dictionary is wrong. The senior pastor, Reverend Pa, explained this word must be understood as an encounter on purpose. Encounter on purpose. Eliezer saw her, knew her, and he ran down to meet with her purposely. Right? It's not by accident. It's not by chance. The way to form up the Hebrew dictionary is to get all these uses of the Hebrew articles and Hebrew documents, including Bible and including other documents as well. So seeing from these documents, they extract, maybe this is the meaning of it. That's how because Hebrew, not modern Hebrew, but ancient Hebrew is already dead language. There is no such a thing called dictionary. Right? So the scholars later on studied about all these Hebrew or Jewish Hebrew documents, and they extract the meaning of it. Right? And the Hebrew dictionary says the kirua means meeting, encountering by accident. Right? But senior pastor says no. According to the Bible, this word cannot have such meaning. It must be encountering on purpose. Encountering on purpose. Are you not amazed? Are you not surprised? Our senior pastor, our founding pastor, was able to even correct the dictionary, isn't it? Genesis chapter 18, verse 2. Genesis chapter 18, verse 2. This is when the men appeared to Abraham, right? 3 men appeared to Abraham. Before God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, right? I will read it for you. Genesis chapter 18, verse 2. And when he lifted up his eyes and looked, behold, 3 men were standing opposite him. And he saw them. He ran from the tent door to meet them and bowed himself to the earth. Same Hebrew word, kirua, is used for this word, to meet here. Right? Abraham saw 3 men, right? Abraham saw 3 men, and the reason why he went down, right? The reason why he ran from his tent, right? Was to purposely meet with them, right? Purposely meet with them. So it cannot have a meaning of encountering by accident, right? If Abraham left his tent without knowing that there are 3 men, and if he by chance encounter a special group of people, and if they were the 3 men of God, then yes, it is the encountering by accident. But Abraham saw there are 3 men, right? And he got out from his tent to meet with them purposely. So that was the meaning of this Hebrew word kirua, that meet with someone on purpose or on plan, right? So what we can learn from here is Eliezer also actively and voluntarily went down to meet Rebecca, as if he was looking for his own wife or the wife of his own son, right? He must have been exhausted with a long and tiring journey, but he never treated this mission as an errand, but of his own business, right? I mean, think about it. 21 days, without resting, he walked, journeyed after journey, right? He just reached the city of Naho, and he could think, oh, finally, I got here. I will rest today in the hotel, and perhaps tomorrow I will start something, right? Or I will start looking for this lady. But by the time that he finished prayer, God already showed this lady, right? And with this tiring, exhausted body, he ran down as if he was going to miss this lady, right? So, lady, woman, right? Girl, stop there. He was running. He was actively and voluntarily running down to grab her at the place. It shows that Eliezer treated this mission not as an errand of someone else, right? Someone else's business, but he treated it as his own business, right? He considered his master's business is his business. If we are the faithful servant of God, right? God's duty, God's mission is not someone else's duty, right? We must treat God's duty, God's mission as our own mission, right? No matter how exhausted we are, no matter how tired we are, right? If there is a chance, if there is God's opportunity, we must run, right? Actively and voluntarily. I pray that all the people who came to this sanctuary may become this faithful servant who regard God's mission as our own mission, so that through you and I, may God accomplish great mission in this church and in Malaysia. Amen. Thirdly, what happened? Even though she was not asked, she gave water to 10 camels as well, right? Genesis chapter 24, verse 19 to 20. Genesis chapter 24, verse 19 to 20. Now when she had finished giving him a drink, she said, I will draw also for your camels until they have finished drinking. So she quickly emptied her jar into the trough and ran back to the well to draw, and she drew for all his camels. Right. They have finished drinking. They have finished drinking. Add, it goes from the left to right. No, sorry. Right to left. Right to left, right? So it is ad, im. Then this one is kiru. Ad im kiru. Ad im kiru. Ad im kiru means until all the camels cannot drink anymore. Until all the camels cannot drink anymore. Right. Why the camel is important here? Because, thank you. It can survive without drinking water for quite a long time, right? The camel, naturally speaking. But it also, on the other hand, when it drinks water, it drinks a lot, isn't it? It drinks a lot. It is said that one camel, depends on the size of it, right? It can drink about 50 liters, am I right? Let me just double check. Yes, it reserves about 50 liters up to 120 liters. One camel. 50 to 120 liters. Right. Imagine how big was the jar that Rebecca was holding. She was a lady, right? She was not married. So she was perhaps beautiful and feeble, I don't know, weak lady. I don't think she was able to carry about 20 liters jar, isn't it? 20 liters is about that blue tank there, right? That blue tank without weight is the 20 liter. If the jar was made by clay, right, the jar itself would weigh a lot as well, right? So let's think that Rebecca was using about 10-liter jar to fill up, to feed all these camels, the 10 camels. How many times she had to go down to the spring, right, and bring up water to feed the camel. Let's say minimum as 50 liters, 10 camels means 500 liters, right? So 50 times she had to go down and come back, right? More than 50 times she had to do this job just to feed these camels, right? Would you do that if you were in her shoes? I mean, giving water to Eliezer or the man around him perhaps is okay because, I mean, man cannot drink about 10 liters apart from me, right? But she suggested, she offered, I will feed your camels as well. That is a lot of job, isn't it? A lot of job. Yes, that would be another way, but I guess there was no access and the road for camel to access this spring.
Should have told the man to carry water.
Right. Oh yeah. Never thought about it, but yeah, that could be another way, right? So she offered it, and if you look at the Hebrew word for the quickly and emptied here, right? The quickly is mahar, right? Mahar. And empty is arach. What is important is these two words were used in PL stem. PL. PL stem. PL stem mean what it means is she actively, right? She actively and willingly emptied the camels, right? And quickly go back to spring to draw water again, right? And come back quickly, right? Actively and willingly, and feed them again and go back. It's not, there is no trail, there is no shadow of she does not like it or she disliked this idea, right? She actively and willingly, she liked this idea to feed the 10 camels of a stranger. Yeah, the Bible doesn't say that she was bothered at all about this duty. It shows her warm heart and kindness, right? It shows her warm heart. I mean, maybe, right? Maybe the Eliezer living in Abraham's house, maybe Eliezer was dressed like Hebrew, right? It could be possible. He was from Damascus, but because he was living in Abraham's house, he could be dressed like the Jews or Hebrews, right? So maybe by the look, the Rebecca could recognize him as, oh, you are our relatives, right? You are from our same Hebrew, right? Hebrew house, Hebrew family, right? Maybe that's why she was showing kindness or the warm heart toward him. But as the Bible doesn't say, we don't know why. But certainly what we can understand, what we can see from the Bible is that she showed extreme warm heart, right? And extreme kindness to a stranger. And if you look at Hebrews chapter 13 verse 2, Hebrews chapter 13 verse 2, it says, do not neglect to show hospitality to stranger, for by this some have entertained angels without knowing it, right? So while Rebecca was showing kindness to a stranger, Eliezer, without knowing, she encountered and she met the messenger of God, right? Messenger that God sent. So showing this loving kindness, showing this kindness to a stranger is one thing that we should do as well. Right now, we're going to conclusion. The 4 is worship and thanksgiving for the merciful answer. Worship and thanksgiving for the merciful answer. Genesis 24 verse 21. Meanwhile, the man was gazing at her in silence to know whether the Lord had made his journey successful or not. Right? So the Eliezer prayed and asked for the sign that when I ask a lady to drink water from her jar, that she should offer to feed my camels as well, right? And Rebecca acted exactly as he prayed, right? That now there is one last condition, right? Is Eliezer need to know whether this woman is a relative of Abraham, right? The reason why he came all the way down to Haran is to find someone from Abraham's relatives, right? Abraham's relatives, right? So now he had to know whether this Rebecca was a relative of Abraham. So Genesis 24 verse 23 to 24, it says, "Whose daughter are you? Please tell me. Is there a room for us to lodge in your father's house?" And she said to him, "I am the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Milcah, whom she bore to Nahor." Right? Finally, by this time, Eliezer became certain that it is God's answer, and by his grace that he found her. So he gave thanks and praise to God. So by the answer, by knowing that Rebecca was from was a relative of Abraham, that finally Eliezer became so sure. You are the one. You are the one that God prepared for me. God prepared for my master Abraham. But another thing is, after that, he praised and thanked to God of Abraham once again. Genesis 24 verse 27. Genesis 24 verse 27. And he said, "Blessed be the Lord, the God of my master Abraham, who has not forsaken his loving kindness and his truth toward my master. As for me, the Lord has guided me in the way to the house of my master's brothers." Think about it. He is a Gentile, isn't it? He is a Gentile. It is a bit weird, abnormal, right? For Eliezer to pray to God of his master Abraham when he reached Patan Aram, isn't it? If he was a Jew, if he was a Hebrew, if he was a descendant of Abraham, if he was a brother of Abraham, we would say, yes, of course, he should pray, right? But he was a Gentile servant. It was a bit abnormal, right? In our perspective, right? To see this Gentile servant pray to God of Israel, and now when he became sure that God answered this prayer, he now giving thanks to God of Israel and praised the God of Israel, which means this Eliezer must be trained, must be disciplined, must be influenced by Abraham while he was in Abraham's house. This Eliezer must be used to worship God, used to give thanks to God, used to praise God, right? Otherwise, in this moment, he cannot think of this and give thanks to God, isn't it? This Eliezer lived in worshipful atmosphere, prayerful atmosphere, giving thanks atmosphere all the time. If we want to become the true servant of God who accomplishes his mission, we also have to live in this worshipful and prayerful and the praising atmosphere, right? We got to used to do it, right? We get to used to do it. This is what we can learn from Eliezer, right? And then finally, number 5. Eliezer, who wanted to return to his master without any delay, right? Eliezer, who wanted to return to his master without any delay. Now, the older missions, finding the wife of his master's son Isaac, is done, right? Genesis 24, verse 54. Genesis 24, verse 54. Then he and the men who were with him ate and drank and spent the night. When they arose in the morning, he said, "Send me away to my master." Can you see? Can you read the time span now? Right? About 21 days he traveled, very lengthy and tiring journey. Right? On the day that he arrived, he prayed and God allowed him to meet this lady. And perhaps he was very busy talking to her, going to her house and meeting her father and cousins and brothers and everyone there and talking about, explaining about that I was sent by Abraham. Abraham is your brother and he is living in land of Canaan. He went through Shechem. Maybe he explained everything about he is now in Beulah Heroi. His son is Isaac and he's looking for the wife of Isaac, right? So please let me go with your daughter, right? So on the same night that he found this Rebecca, he must be extremely exhausted, right? However, next morning he woke up and asked for what? Let me go, right? Let me go. I mean, doesn't it deserve to rest about a few days at least, right? 3 weeks journey, right? He could have just asked for, let me stay here for about 3 days at least, right? Just to gain strength to go back because I have to go for another 3 weeks journey, right? Even after the mission is accomplished, he would not fly over to land of Canaan, right? He had to go with the camels once again for 3 weeks. However, he did not delay at all. More than his tiredness and the weak strength, Eliezer worried about Abraham, who cannot take rest until Eliezer returns with wife of Isaac. It's not because he didn't like Padan Aram. It's not because he didn't like Haran. It's not because there was no good hotel in Haran, right? It's because Eliezer worried about his father. Sorry, it's not his father. His master's heart, isn't it? Abraham's heart. He knew that Abraham could not take rest until he returns, isn't it? That's why he hastened. That's why he did not mind about his tiredness. My master would not take any rest until I come back. So I understand that you want to spend more time with your daughter and all these things, but please let me go, right? Please let me go. I cannot let my master wait any longer, right? Genesis chapter 24, verse 55 to 56, you can say that, but her brother and her mother said, "Let the girl stay with us a few days, say 10. Afterwards she may go." And he said to them, "Do not delay me, since the Lord has prospered my way. Send me away that I am go to my master." Right? I understand your condition, your heart, your the feeling, emotions, and everything. Yet, please do not delay me. I also want to stay here. I also want to, gain more strength here. But I concern about my master's heart. I concern Abraham's heart. I concern Jesus' heart. I concern my Father's heart. He cannot take rest until we accomplish our missions. So I pray that may all the people who came to the Lord's Covenant Church tonight become the faithful servant like Eliezer, right? Putting his master's concern most in the center, right? Putting our Father's concern in the center of our lives. And whatever we do, right, wherever we go, take care of our Father, Jesus' concern first, so that we may be remembered. We may be remembered by God as the faithful servant. Senior pastor, founding pastor, Reverend Abraham Park, used to say that God is busy, right? God is busy. Have you heard of it? He often say God is busy. He often say Father is busy. So I pray that we hear the voice of God saying, I am busy, TLCC. Can you work for me? And I pray that may all of us make a determination to become a faithful servant like Eliezer, so that you and I may be used by God greatly for the word of the redemptive history to be spread all over the world, especially over Malaysia. Amen.